Are we live? We're live. Hey everyone, welcome to the late stream, live from New York Improv Fest at the People's Improv Theater. We're back in the attic, our makeshift living room for this edition, for this week of the late stream. I'm joined by Kaitlin Noble, who is the DM of the campaign, which is a great improvised D&D adventure that I just saw it for the first time. You should definitely come and see it. Kaitlin, welcome to the late stream. Thank you for doing this. Yeah, this was such a fun show. So why don't you explain for those of us who are not maybe familiar with the show or with live action role playing games? Is that the categories of it?
Yeah, that's accurate.
I've dabbled in nerddom a little bit. Maybe explain the.
I have several shirts.
Explain. So what is the campaign? What happens?
So the campaign is essentially a fantasy adventure that is directed and performed live for the audience. It was born of my love for Dungeons and Dragons, so that's our strong base, but you don't have to like D&D to enjoy the show.
I find though that if you generally like things fantasy, like Lord of the Rings is what you said before the show, that you get into D&D, because I always, I grew up thinking that D&D was like really nerdy. But then I saw recently, I don't know if you've seen Harmon Quest, that opened me up to D&D or that kind of thing.
You know what's funny is everybody, when I tell them I'm doing this show, they're always like, oh yeah, you should watch Harmon Quest.
And it's like, please, I've seen it.
No, I mean, it's great. What he does is spectacular, and the way he introduces people to the world of D&D is exactly what I'm trying to do.
I've always wanted to do it. I've done it once. But I feel like I don't know all the rules. I was invited to a game and I was sent like a pamphlet of like 100-page PDF document, the player's guide, and I got very, very overwhelmed. But it's accessible to beginners in general?
It is. I mean, I learned because in college my friend Paul said, do you want to play? And I said, sure. And he sent me the handbook and I looked at it, and you sort of have to learn by doing.
Yeah.
And I think what I like about my show is that we've streamlined the mechanics. Literally all we have is the D20.
So there's just,
if
you want to do something, you roll the dice, which is the giant 20-sided dice. 10 and above.
Actually, a fan of the show made this for us as a Christmas gift.
Really?
Yeah, really.
It was just like, I love the show so much. Yes. Here is a giant 20.
He wrapped it, and he left it on, so I have a table where I usually keep my dice.
Right.
And he wrapped it.
Very organized.
When I was backstage, he put it on the table. So I walked out, I screamed, what the fuck? And I opened it, and it was this beautiful light-up D20.
That's amazing.
Handmade. I immediately broke it.
Oh, no.
Because I threw it to roll it.
It cracked open. So it doesn't light up anymore, but it still looks beautiful. And this, you have a lovely dragon head, which was just part of the last. Does the dragon have a name, or I guess it changes every time?
Petunia, actually.
Oh, Petunia.
This was Petunia's world premiere.
Oh, wow.
So the show has evolved since from when we started. When I first started, I said to myself, I don't want any props. I don't want anything but our imagination.
Everything
because the idea of D&D is we're all sitting around a table and we're all creating this group mind of something. So we started very basic. We didn't have costumes. We didn't have anything. As it developed, I wanted to have more fun with it, have a little bit more spectacle, so we started adding in props. We have like those little shreds of paper
for magic and stuff. That's great.
And then my friend Sarah Walsh is a brilliant puppeteer. And
Shout out to Sarah Walsh.
God, she offered to make this puppet for us, and
you were just getting gifts galore for the campaign.
Well, the trade-off was that she would puppeteer it for
Oh,
us.
okay, so
it was to get a place in the show. I mean, this thing is just gorgeous, and she made it in like under a month.
That's phenomenal. I don't even know where to begin making a dragon.
I know, me neither.
So you are the DM. That stands for Dungeon Master. So that means you're in charge of the whole show. So you kind of.
I'm the narrator.
You guide the story along.
I make sure that they don't go off on too many tangents. I guide them in the direction that the story needs to go. I determine the outcomes for them. It's a unique situation because we have stage combat in the show, but you can't really do stage combat safely unless you rehearse it. So I'm there to make sure the combat is safe.
Make sure everything's safe. So
so they announce
God/parent.
God/parent. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
I mean, so my interest in D&D, I find, is because I'm attracted to the role of Dungeon Master, because I'm like a control freak, I guess, and I just enjoy having people in the palms of my hand. But can you go right into that? Do I need? Yeah, just right away.
Yeah. Do I keep referencing this campaign because it was the first game that I ever did.
Yeah.
In college, my friend Paul ran this amazing game that is still going on. We still come back once a year to play this game together.
a continuing story.
This was his first time DMing.
So that rookie campaign is still...
That rookie campaign, he is now like a pro DM. But it started with this little idea. He didn't know what he was doing. We didn't know what we were doing. We were all first-time players. And
hear that, Coon and Ashley? See, we don't need to play a bunch to do it.
No,
Let's give it a try.
I think that's the hard thing about getting people to convince them to come see the show, to come have a good time, is that they think it's inaccessible.
Yeah.
But it's not.
No, you
read the rule book and you take what you want from the rule book.
Right. So
and then you have your own adventure.
So you don't have to be as rigid to the 100-page PDF that I got.
No.
It's just like whatever goes for the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
and,
fun.
The inspiration from the show came from that campaign that started back in college. We started with the rules, we followed along, and then our first or second reunion, the DM told us, I'm throwing out everything but the D20.
And just
the
going
20-sided
choices.
die, yeah. And he said 10 and up is a success, 9 and below is a fail.
That's much. I would appreciate that, because the time I played, there was like 5-sided, there was things for this.
Yeah, well, that's like the other sided die is for like damage.
Right.
It's all just for damage.
Oh, see, I didn't have enough capacity to understand
the problem is that it looks very overwhelming, but if you tailor make it to the people who are playing the game, it's super accessible.
I find that I would think that improvisers would make fantastic role
They
players.
do!
Because it's like
They
less
really
about
do.
if they really invested in the story and like.
And there you go. My college campaign, we were all in the improv club.
Oh, okay, so there you go. Because it's more just about making a nice story. You could have a whole time where people are just chatting and no one rolls the die for like a half hour.
We barely fought. It was all like diplomacy and like finding our parents long lost and crying.
Oh, backstory.
Backstory. Yeah, but improvisers make the best D&D players because they commit 100% to their characters.
Yes. So in the campaign you have 5 or 6
five
main characters who are back every time for this continuing saga, and then you have NPCs.
Non-player characters.
Yeah, so those are just everyone else in the world. And how much control do you have over them, or is that also like, are they offering things and you're kind of going off of that, or how much are you trying to make sure that everything goes to a certain
it's a fun mix.
direction?
It's a fun mix. So the NPCs every day, like the day of the show, I send them an email with a basic outline of what's going to happen. So they know the general idea of where the story needs to go, and every now and then there'll be like a fork in the road where I'm like, if the players do this, then here's the sequence, or if the players do this, then here's the sequence. So it's kind of like a tree branch effect, and I have the outline on stage so they can follow along. So the NPCs know generally what's going on. The players have no idea what's going on.
So everything that the players interact is all...
It's all brand new. The players did not know that Petunia was coming out
Oh,
until Petunia
wow.
came
They
out
must
on
have
stage.
been... Because I was blown away that
they
a 4-person dragon came out.
I mean, good. That was the hope.
No, you got it.
But the NPCs, they do have a ton of fun, and they're allowed to add everything to the show. The nice thing about having me on stage all the time is that I'm live directing.
Yeah.
So if they try and go just a little too far, that will derail the story too much, I can just say...
Rein them back a little bit.
Yeah, I can just rein them back a little bit. Like on Tuesday, like an example, they were looking for a book, and an NPC said, well, there's a library right here. But I knew we had, for time's sake, we had to have a separate scene where they found out where the book was.
Right, because you're trying to map out the time over...
I'm trying to map out the time, yeah, exactly. So I knew that the book could not be in this bookshelf. But I still said yes to the idea of what she was doing. I just didn't give her exactly what she... like.
Just what they were looking for. So that's kind of, you have to be able to adapt on your feet all the time.
Yeah, it's modification, and then you account for like what the players decide to do, which is the beauty. They don't know what's going on, so they don't know the answers.
They can totally throw a wrench in everything.
So they're trying so many different things. I did not expect Lady Aragorn to mount the dragon.
Oh, that was a certain surprise. That was a logistical challenge, how that was going to go,
But they did it beautifully, because they all just say yes to each other.
I mean, that's the beautiful thing about improv, and I guess about D&D as well.
Yeah, well, that's the parallels I drew between why I love improv and why I love D&D. It's all the same, you know? Just saying yes to the circumstances and trusting each other
and finding whatever story happens.
Exactly. We make the story. Everybody fills out, because my outlines are, I mean, they're not intense. They don't dictate. I don't railroad.
Right.
But the players fill out what's going to happen very beautifully.
Yeah. Are you ever like surprised at like how well that turns out?
Yeah,
like, I can't believe it's all going to my master plan.
Almost every episode, I'm always surprised how like the D20 rolls and how it says yes to the story.
Right, so I mean, fate has to be on your side if the rolls are going the way you want them to go.
Yeah.
So tonight was a special occasion. It was for Improv Fest. It was just a one-time story, but usually it's an ongoing arc, right?
Yeah.
So if someone wants to see the next show, which is April 25th?
25th?
Is that
April
right?
25th.
Yes, we're getting some nice mouth work. April 25th.
Thank you, Sarah. April 25th, Tuesday at the Pit Loft.
At
9 p.m.
9 p.m. So if someone's coming to see that and they're seeing the campaign for the first time, is there any backstory that they need to know? Like where are our heroes today?
So the fun thing about the show is it's essentially we've created a sitcom. The 5 players, they're those 5 archetypes, and they're always going to act the way that they've established they're going to act. Lady Aragorn is always going to try and stab something. Kadash the cleric is always going to be, the voice of reason.
Right.
And they follow the same patterns because they found those patterns. So you can turn on an episode of Friends,
And
season
totally
9, episode 4, and figure out what's going on.
Well, that's the very end. I don't want to go to season 2, maybe.
But
That's the same concept. Yeah, exactly.
You can watch a syndicated show and
turn on
understand the circumstances, even though you haven't seen the first episode.
So great, thank you, Kaitlin Noble. So
Thank you.
if you want to see the campaign, that's April 25th at 9 p.m. at the Loft. I will certainly be there. So if you want to see me, come hang out with me as well. We'll be back a little bit later with some more interviews. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in a bit.